And we're live.
What's up, world, universe? Hold on, DJ. I can still hear myself. Like I don't know. I'm like, I don't think it's just me. I think there's a major echo there. Might want to like turn down your PC or get some headphones or videos. Okay, that's better. It's still a little there, but it's all right. It's better now. All right. So, what's up, world? No, I said there. That's crappy. Anyway, we'll push for
Should I just edit out that first 2 minutes?
something. I guess I don't know. It's still there. You need to get a headset. Work on that. Are you using a different PC or
No, it's stereo sound. I didn't even know I had that option.
you want to change it?
Hold on.
I don't want comments about how why this dude echoing the whole time. I can't understand what he's saying because all I hear is him speaking it twice and it just sounds crazy and jumbled.
Is it better now?
Hello. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah. The other one was on studio. This one's just on pure voice.
All right, cool. So this is a bad introduction to an awful podcast. Welcome to the AeroGents podcast. This is episode 7.
I'm just gonna be flat out honest with you. I think it's episode 7 when we missed that week. I'm not sure if it's 7 or 8. Just gonna be honest with you.
We'll call it 7. It's still technically 8 because we did the episode 0, so that would still make it episode 9. I don't know. We on some episode and you watching it, so you tell us. That being said, hello, I am your boy, Coffee Man. That is the always calm, cool, and collected Mr. DJ. The
Very
DJ.
much so.
Huh?
They're very much so calm, cool, and collected.
Very much so. And today's episode is going to be very, very special because it is Gamer Holiday as we have been plunged into the depths of what is known as E3. Now, if you're not a big gamer, here's what E3 is. It is called the Electronic Entertainment Expo. But essentially all it is a huge conference where all these different game developers, studios, publishers, console makers, PC makers all come and they have these different press conferences and announce upcoming hardware, software, details about stuff that'll make your nerd boner so hard you could demolish an entire brick house. And that's why we love it, folks. So, that being said, before we jump deep into this, let's take a step back 1 second. All right. Unfortunately, this past weekend, everybody knows there was a huge shooting, the most unbelievably violent and largest mass murder ever to happen on American soil, committed by a man who claims to be in line with ISIS. He is, of course, supposedly Muslim. It's also come out that he was homosexual, and then now there's details that his wife is involved. It's a huge mess. But all we really want to say is, first and foremost, our condolences and our thoughts and prayers are with the families and the victims of people who were shot and attacked on that horrible evening. That being said, hashtag Gay Lives Matter. Now, on to the show. DJ.
Yes, sir.
Do you know who Microsoft is?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, let me tell you who Microsoft is. Microsoft is what you would call a software development company. Now, this particular software development company also creates a little piece of hardware called the Xbox. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. If you haven't heard of it, look it up. It's got some pretty nice games to it. Whatever. But before we jump into their whole E3 thing, I want to acknowledge one other tidbit of news. They have purchased a professional networking a professional networking site known as LinkedIn. DJ, do you know how much they paid to acquire LinkedIn?
I hope not more than $1 billion, but hit me with a price tag.
Okay, well, okay. I'm gonna hit you with that. But first, hold on. I should have described what this site does. So it allows professionals, say people who are into, creating music or creating movies or graphic design or whatever have you. Very professional website. It allows you to find people, network, find job opportunities, all these different things. They bought LinkedIn for $26 billion. That is more than what Marvel Studios, oh God, what's the other one? Lucasfilms and Candy Crush Saga were all paid for combined. They paid more for a social networking site than all three of those different IP manufacturers, or whatever you want to call them, different studios that create different other forms of media. These companies create media and are not worth as much combined as a social networking site for finding professional businessmen and women to connect with and network. That's nuts. That is insane. I've used LinkedIn not to its fullest potential. I've looked at it. It's nice. It's okay. It's a kind of, to me, going in looking at it firsthand, it's a big clusterfuck of, I don't know what's really going on here, but they do have other parts of it that, like I said, there's a complete offshoot to it that allows you to help kind of find jobs or whatever you want to do. So it has some nice stuff in it, but they bought it for $26 billion, dude. This is why I'm like, I need to get in software development. I need to get into coding. I need to create something and like just build it up, have it nice. And like with no intention of ever like running this completely, just have somebody who eventually is like, hey, I want to give you $10 billion for that. Dude, you can have it. Let's go. I don't want to deal with it no more. Nope, I don't want no shares. I don't want, just give me my $10 billion. I'll be good for the rest of my life. That is nuts. That is insane. Oh my God. So that happened, and that's just incredible. But anyway, let's move on to some gaming news. Let's move on to E3.
Start with, because I want to start with Death Stranding, because that interests me the most. Even though there was zero gameplay of it, that was the most interesting thing to me.
We'll get there. All right. I think the way I want to divide this up, I'm pretty sure, with you being the Bethesda fan and the Sony fan, I'll let you cover most of those. So if you want to start with Sony, go ahead.
Yeah, right. I'll start it off. Whew. Sony had a plethora of surprises coming into E3.
Definitely did.
What'd you say?
I said they definitely did.
Oh yeah. With the only one surprise I wasn't really feeling though was that Crash Bandicoot, which they're going to remake all of the three games he was in, but the new Crash Bandicoot looks like the Happy Meal McDonald's mascot, and he kind of terrifies me.
Man, that new Crash Bandicoot looks like they put, you know, that mask that you always had to find, like that was like represented the extra life. It looked like
Yeah,
he finally put that mask on, and he had like the effect of like the mask, you
the
know, like
mask. Yeah,
it's like he put the mask on and it took effect. Yeah,
like
but
they had Jim Carrey come in and say, can we just use your face from the mask as a base, as a foundation for what we're going to make this character look like?" It's like they mixed the mask with Tasmanian Devil.
oh my god, it did, yo, it did. It was crazy. Super excited that Crash is coming back though. I love that game, and I guess this was almost something just completely foreseeable after the Easter egg of being able to actually play Crash Bandicoot
In
and
Uncharted.
of Uncharted 4. Yeah. So anyway, continue.
Other than Crash Bandicoot, you have, I'm trying to think if it's called. Oh man, the game slips my mind. I really want to talk about it. The Colossus. I'm trying to think what it's called.
Oh, The Last Guardian.
The Last Guardian, made by those people. I've been waiting on that game for years, literally years.
I think the entire, was it been like 10 years in development?
The same amount of time, not to get off topic, as Final Fantasy 15.
Oh my god.
It made me realize I was 15 when I heard these games. 15
That is nuts. That is ridiculous.
blows my mind. And now they finally not just give it to us, they gave us a date, which
October.
still knowing who it is, I'm throwing it up in the air.
Mm.
Other than that, big one I guess coming out of Sony's area right now.
Mm.
Well, one of the two big ones, in my opinion, is the new God of War that's going to expand on Norse mythology. And I'm a mythology freak. And I love the fact that they're transitioning to a whole nother set, so the story doesn't stay the same.
Mm.
I know most people don't like it may not be open world, and some people's mixed reviews on about the kid, because the kid will be an integral part to the story. He even has a certain button dedicated just to the child. I still think overall it'll be a great game. Same people are still working on it. I cared about the story. I trust this game in their hands. I have no complaints.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, the only person I know from Norse mythology would be Thor, right? Thor is a Norse mythology. Okay. So Thor, obviously Loki and Odin would be the only people I know of from Norse mythology. Other than that I knew more of Greek mythology just because it's so prevalent in a lot of, or I'm assuming in most high school curriculums at some point. I remember, you know, oh God, what was it? Just kind of that whole Greek mythology era being something we talked about a lot when I was in high school. But so here's the thing. All right, here's
if they look at the Thor movies, they can get a lot of names just from there.
Okay.
Freya, Baldur, it's a plethora of guys they can use. Heimdall, and they could just, the story would be amazing. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So, so I think one of the other big controversies, besides just the sun is also deals around the gameplay. So here's two things, right? The first thing I thought of when I saw it, first of all, let's talk about Sony using this orchestra that produced and created all of the music for the game, and how they were there the entire night to play everything. But here's what was funny. When I first tuned in, I actually tuned in as that was playing, thought that I had like missed something at some point, and like they were just now like in the middle of it. And I when I was hearing the music, I related that to God of War instantly. I was like, oh crap, am I in the middle of something? So I went back and realize, oh no, okay, this is where they're starting the press conference. But then right after, they go straight into God of War from that, and they're playing the entire time, and it's beautiful. The music is great, love it. But that being said, as soon as the game opens up and you see him and you finally see the gameplay demo taking place, it reminded me heavily of The Last of Us. I don't know if you drew that. I saw there were a few people around the internet who drew that connection as well.
With the
So,
father or father figure, you got the kid, wildness. Yep.
and from not even that, like the that over the shoulder third person view that we've seen popularized by like the Arkham games. That's here too, which is way different from the traditional fixed
Pull
point
out.
camera view of the original God of War games. So that was one thing. I didn't necessarily hate that, but when I saw that, I knew there was a big gameplay change coming, and it really showed. As they actually did get into the combat, is that it's not going to be the same button mashing game that it used to be. It's honestly what I took from the combat, and I saw this ring true from other people's comments, is it looks like it's more of a Dark Souls type of combat system. Um, and that's just based off of what I've seen, because I've never actually played any of the Dark Souls myself, but I've seen enough gameplay to kind of understand how that looks and how that would work and feel, and it kind of looked like that to me. Um, is there any other connections you might have made from that, or you there?
Yeah, man.
Was there any other connections you might have made? Anything that you think it resembled more so?
Not exactly. I know people say the slower gameplay pace of it. Other than that, there's nothing I can really be like, oh yeah, this completely resonates with The Last of Us on that point.
Okay. Um. All right. Anything else that you like that stood out to you about the game, or about anything else from the Sony conference?
I'm still going on about the Sony conference. I'm not
Okay.
done.
All right.
All right. With the most surprising thing of the night, if you haven't heard, that Kojima is back in business.
Oh yes.
He's
Yes. Yes.
back and he came through with a storm. He,
He
he, he was too fast for the light that was following him.
Man, he came out and he stood there and he said, "I'm back." I'm like, this arrogant man here. He's like, yo, you know who I am. I ain't gotta say nothing but hey, I'm back. And seeing him on there, it was like, oh, yes, finally we're gonna see something. I thought we would have seen gameplay. Hell, I don't know if we didn't see gameplay. I mean, I know it wasn't necessarily. Well, no, he did
So,
all say it was in real time. So it is in engine. That's what that game looks like.
but he
And it
said they still haven't decided on an engine yet either when they did an interview by himself.
okay.
He also said, Norman Reedus is back in it, but Del Toro didn't come back.
Mm,
But that if you the name Death Stranding was weird from the get go.
mm-hmm.
And I did a little looking up on Death Stranding because you see all the mammals and different crustacean type of fish all over the all over the sand. Just the way it starts out from the metaphors where he's holding a baby, futuristic handcuffs, and not on a tangent here or whatnot, but I forgot what it's called. Something strength like crustacean stranding, where happens a few times a year where mammals just pop up on the shore dead. Whales, dolphins, porpoises. And people, if you go on to Reddit or Twitter, there's storm, a storm of ideas of what it could mean.
Mm.
What the 5 things floating above him is. They think maybe something has to do with the BP oil. If you read his tags, they have something to do with relativity.
Yeah.
There we go. And he still has given nothing about the game. So that's where these ideas come from. For the fact that Norman Reedus is back, he's back, and he doesn't tell you when the game takes place or where it takes place, and he says it probably won't be out for a while. That's the
Oh yeah.
only description he gives, just a while. But the fact the trailer just from the CGI or real time game engine to the song that was playing in the background, everything was done beautifully. It needed no words. I was interested just from the trailer. I want that game.
Oh yeah. It was definitely beautiful. I when it first came on, and I'm looking, and you're right, the music, the ambiance, and the music was on point. It's very ominous, kind of soothing as well. But uh,
If he told me right now I had to give him $100 out of my pocket to get that game, I'd do it. Not
when
even a question.
you first start looking at, because he, like I said, as far as we know, he said it was in engine. That's what he said. He was said it was in engine. It was real time. Um, that the look, the textures, just the textures on those crabs at the very beginning was so detailed. It was beautiful. Listen, we both just finished playing Uncharted 4, and that game's graphics was incredibly beautiful. This is like a few leaps above that. It looked so incredibly realistic. It was ridiculous. But it was a beautiful looking game. My only disappointment, and we'll get this up. We'll come back to this a little bit later. With this trailer for this game, was that is not how they close out this conference, and we'll get onto that later. I mean, not much later, but as we round this out, this little section. But yeah, I think it should have been the closer for it. Because they started with God of War, they should have ended with this. Instead, they didn't, and it took a drop after this. And it took a pretty big drop right after it kind of redeemed itself, but not fully. But anyway, we'll get into more of that later. So, what's next, DJ? What else is there to talk about from?
Well, I didn't know. I wanted to talk about Detroit, but I didn't know if that was just a PS Sony exclusive there.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Heavy
And
Rain, and
LA Noire, and just the aspects of the game. Me and my mother like to play games like Hitman and LA Noire together, where I'm physically playing it, and she's my eyes and ears for stuff I don't miss. It's a great bonding experience. And with LA Noire, which I feel like about this game too, it would be more of a bonding experience more than Hitman per se, because in Hitman, all I'm doing is doing the action she normally wouldn't be able to do, like have quickly buttons or move this character that way, this way. But she has a plan in her mind for that. Where Eleanor, we have to have banter back and forth, like, should we lie to this character? Look at their face. That looks like a lion face. I don't know if we killed him or not. And it seems like it gives us that banter back again where we go back and forth with each other. And that's why I'm not gonna lie, that was a personal thing why I was so excited for this game, because I was like, me and my mom are going to enjoy this.
Okay.
But the whole game with the aspects of finding clues, different scenarios, how you speak to somebody, all that convey to different, just from timing alone when they broke it down, from how quick or how slow you respond could change a whole scenario. That interests me. The whole gameplay is decided in seconds of what you do.
Yeah. This game is a game produced by a studio called Quantic Dream, who has produced really incredibly narrative driven, and I mean narrative driven games. They're not action based. They are heavily based off of you making the choices that tell the story, and they emphasize that in this trailer as well, that you are telling your story. Even the android Connor, who is the playable character in this demo or whatever it was. It was kind of a demo, kind of not. It wasn't really live. It was some like random shots of different actions or consequences and actions to be taken or had from this one specific scenario. They showed possibly, I think, 20 different possibilities, more so, just off of this one scenario, this one like scene that's probably no more than like 10 minutes of gameplay, if even that long. And it was just, the possibilities are incredible, and I want to see how much further that impacts the entire story. Because the only problem I have with games like these, where you craft your own story games, is they branch out with like different things here and there, but they never really like fully go in. You know, it's like even
I feel the weight of my consequences, but not completely.
Exactly. It's like there's not endless possibilities. I mean, I think even Heavy Rain ended with probably 20 different endings, right? Which is great. 20 is great. But when you consider the idea of parallel universes and the branching of what you did versus what you could have done, these kind of games can end in so many different ways. I'm really curious to see what number they attach to how much you can do on this. And we'll see what that is, but I'm curious to see that number. Other than that, it looks good. That's all I can really say about it. It looks really dope. So that is Detroit. I will be looking forward to that one when it does come out. And I think it is one of the games that does not have a release date.
Yeah, it doesn't have one.
Yeah, here's what's crazy to me, right? Never mind. I'll get back to that later. Just go to the next one. Go to the next one.
I'm gonna switch over to Bethesda on that note. And their press conference wasn't bad. It wasn't great like they came out last year. Last year, they was punching people in the face.
Mm-hmm.
You moved around so not so much this time around. They're giving you Skyrim remastered, which is one thing I kind of been begging for. I'm not gonna lie, so I can play it on my PS4 instead of switching to my PS3. But if you have a PC like me, most of the stuff they're giving you already got.
So here's the thing about that too. I'm not sure exactly how much of it's true. I read somewhere, and I'm not sure if I think I actually have it on the Flipboard. If you already own Skyrim, the remaster is free. I'm not sure exactly how that works. But I read that somewhere. I am not joking. I read that if you own it already, it is free. Okay, yeah, here. This is from Rock Paper Shotgun, who's nobody really talks about them. They are actually one of the gaming websites that is neither in the public eye for bad nor good. They're sort of in between, so they're kind of like, if they're saying it, there's probably some way to it. So it says here, it'll be released on current gen consoles. We do have a release date for this one, also October 28th, which is very close. It'll be released for next gen consoles as well as PC. And if you own either the Legendary Edition of the original or the base game, plus all the DLC bought separately, you'll receive a free upgrade to the new hotness. You can see it below. So I'm not sure if maybe that is just for the PC version, because I don't understand how they would do that for the console version necessarily. I'm not unless you're talking about based off of purchases in the store, which Sony doesn't. I mean, they have the cross buy, and Xbox with its backwards compatibility kind of honors that sort of thing. But I don't know. So it doesn't specify whether this is supposed to be for console and PC. I'm pretty sure it would be a much easier thing to implement on PC.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, so continue on about your excitement for this new beautiful remaster of the Elder Scrolls Skyrim.
I didn't. Well, knowing from PC, I should have guessed it, but I still was blown away from the difference of when they showed the PS3 version of the Xbox version, Xbox 360 version to Xbox One and PS4. You see all the graphic little changes they made that just expands it. From textures of the leaves to the water. It's like playing a whole new game. It feels like it.
Yeah. It does. It totally does. It goes from what kind of in the video looks like a grayish tint to a more warm, saturated kind of coloring, and just that sort of change can increase can augment how the game feels enough. And of course, this was in a well-lit forest area. I'm sure once you go to somewhere like Winterhold and you're up in the cold, it's not gonna. It'll look great. It won't look similarly as great, or it won't have the same aesthetic as what we saw in the trailer, because of course we're talking about a snow-covered mountain that's being hit by a constant blizzard versus an empty, warm forest area. So that's all we really saw. They didn't really show much other than that. There was a couple other spots that they showed, but nothing really major.
I was hoping to see what the dragons look like, or what magic or the swords look like.
Yeah. Well, we saw a little bit of the magic, but it was so brief you really don't get a good look at it. It actually, the magic more showed off kind of the lighting effect that they had, which they're touting their new lighting effect of the God rays, which was something. What was that? NVIDIA promoting that like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's oh my god, we're behind. But whatever, it's console, we're always behind. I don't care. I like console, but we're gonna get more into consoles being behind later as well. Aside
from that, I guess the last thing that Bethesda I want to talk about is, of course, Fallout, which you have three new DLCs coming out. And the first two, contraptions and vaults, it's just basically simple stuff. Contraptions, you can build, conveyor belts, elevators, different electronical contraptions to help your guest settlement flow better. Vaults is a tad bit more interesting because it's going to make it feel like a 3D version of Fallout Shelter, where you could actually do experiments, whichever one of you sick bastards like that type of thing, on the people that live in there.
On the people in the vault. It literally said run experiments on the inhabitants. What?
Like the thing about that at night? Do what you want. Do what you want. Hey. I'm not judging nobody.
Now,
go ahead.
Now, is this content also covered under that all-encompassing season pass that they put out when the game first came out?
That's why they raised the season pass price.
And you know what? Understandably so for this next one that they had, right?
Woo! Nuka World.
Man.
I'm excited. I'm very excited. Because when you get more depth into the game, they're basically saying that you can become a raider. Like, people complain, why can't you ever really be the bad guy? I mean, you can be a bad guy by making, I'm siding with the Legion stuff, but you can't be a psycho jet, 9-iron driver wielding, badass who just don't give a shit about anybody.
Exactly.
They're kind of going to give you that option in this, DLC. Nuka World is ran by raiders. You can take the raiders, raise them up yourselves, and run the Commonwealth with them like you own the goddamn place, which people have been asking for.
Right. So
they haven't released much else on the DLC other than you have places like Keyland and Nuke World, Nuke of this, just different places you can go to that are, I guess you could say, theme park inspired.
okay.
But as for the story, there's zero hints to it.
All right. Well, okay. So before we move on, let's cover. I'm gonna just go briefly over a couple other things that I found interesting from Bethesda and Sony's conferences. Um, well, first of all, there was Quake, a new Quake announced, Quake Champions, which is PC only, is unlocked frame rate, is running 120 hertz. This game is going to be incredible sounding from the sound of it. Not sure exactly what it is, but we know it's a incredible fast-paced FPS arena shooter that is definitely responsible for what Halo became in its heyday. This was the predecessor to most of your big arena shooter multiplayer games. There was also Horizon Zero Dawn, which is an incredible looking game. This you play as this female character who's trying to save her village, I believe, and you have to go out into the world where the world is now ruled by machines. These machines all look like animals and dinosaurs.
Not gonna, I wanted to talk about this. I just wasn't sure we would have enough time. This was one of them on my list, though.
I know. There's so much to cover. We can't really go so deep into everything, but I just kind of wanted to highlight because this is actually one of the games that I'd heard about before, never really cared. Saw this trailer and saw the gameplay, and I was like, I see what that's about. I want that now because she tackled what I'm assuming would be a steer and like hacked its brain and started riding it. Like that was freaking phenomenal. I was like, oh, you got me now. And then the battle that she had with the giant four-legged spidery looking thing that took quite a while. She put a few arrows into that thing, did some major damage to it. It was an epic battle, and I'm pretty sure not all of them will be as extensive as that, but that was pretty epic. And I was like, this game has grand scale, so I'm really interested into seeing this. I think this character is going to be sort of a predecessor to Nariko from Heavenly Sword. It's kind of their
I thought the same thing when I saw it.
Yeah, her hair for one especially reminds me of that, which was part of Nariko's a very big signature to Nariko. And it's like they're taking this. Sony loves to go against the norm, and using female protagonists in action-based games is very against the norm. So congrats to them for that. What else? Oh, I'm jumping around too. I'm kind of like jumping in between them. VR. Let's quickly go over VR. There was announced Batman VR, which had Mark Hamill as the Joker, kind of giving some voiceover, not dialogue, monologue, talking about wearing masks and being the villain and blah blah blah. Normal Joker banter that you would get. Not sure what Batman VR would be, or Arkham VR, let's say, because it is produced by Rocksteady. They are continuing that name. I hope that this, whatever it is, does not soil that brand, because if it's like this weird, ridiculous implementation, it totally will ruin that brand, and I would hate to see that, which I'm not sure it's going to continue anyway, but I'd rather not see it ruined. Not like that. Final Fantasy. There will be a part of Final Fantasy playable, which I know you said you were a little excited for. Me personally, I'm like, on the basis of it looks like you're just this one offhand character. His name's Pompsa or whatever it is, and you're
I wasn't excited about it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm excited about Final Fantasy 15.
Okay,
now, that looks all right. Stupid wouldn't be the word I want to use,
He's
But
got like a pop pistol gun, dude, and like you're just shooting. Like, okay, if you were going to do Final Fantasy VR, it should have had swordplay. It should have had
magic.
magic, all this other stuff. You giving me the ability to shoot a gun in a game that has nothing to do with shooting guns as a general thought to it is really just dumbing down what.
I wouldn't even mind it that much if they made it like I guess you could say kind of like Devil May Cry-ish or Bayonetta-ish, where you had different type of guns you could possibly use. He had Ebony Ivory for Dante, but he could use other type of weapons. If he used, if he had a like how Noctis, the main character of Final Fantasy, has a variety of weapons. If he had a variety of guns, I'd be more impressed. Like
Right.
if I switch from dual pistols to a shotgun and draw myself back and switch to a sniper rifle, that would have blown my mind.
Oh yeah, that would have totally been something else to add to it. Then there was of
Like
course
Days or Days Gone.
Days Gone. We'll get to that. I want to get to that last since they decided they wanted to get to that last. Resident Evil 7 was shown in VR, which I didn't know what that was at first. It was weird and kind of ominous. It was clear that this was some sort of horror survival thing, but to know that it has the Resident Evil name attached to it and that this is not necessarily a game that is exclusive. However, Sony has a complete, you will be able to play the entire game. This is an entire Resident Evil game that you will be able to play with PlayStation VR when that game is released. PlayStation VR, which of course they did announce a release date for of October. There's a lot of stuff coming in October right now. I want to say October 17th or something like that, or 23rd or whatever it was.
I thought it was 16th, 17th.
Yeah, okay, I thought so. This VR gun, which was not even announced in the conference, looks pretty cool. It reminds me of an attachment that I had for my old Move, so that's pretty much the same thing that's going to be. So that's pretty cool. But then let's talk about Days Gone. Okay, so the premise of this game is a little weird for me. It's, I guess there's some like punk biker gang or something. There's this sense of camaraderie between these guys, and the apocalypse happens and there are now zombies, right? Okay, no problem there. Whatever. There's a million zombie games are a dime a dozen, but they can still be fun, right? One of the most interesting things about this game, which I guess is what they really wanted to show off, which they shouldn't have. First of all, they announced the game and then waited until after they showed not only Kojima's new game, I forgot about this, not only Kojima's new game, they showed a trailer for a new Spider-Man game, which, if you played the last one, or if you've seen anybody play the last one or heard anything about the last one, you know the last one was a piece of crap. This new one is being done by Insomniac, and Insomniac has a great track record. So I'm looking forward to seeing more about this. Might not necessarily play it because it might be, of course, another reboot, and I'm tired of Spider-Man reboots. Spider-Man is the most rebooted character in like a span of like over like a short span of time, as far as I can tell. Like, I'm just tired of seeing that, right? So I'm interested to see more about it. I hope it's a great game. I'll probably watch somebody play it. I'm not going to get into it personally, maybe. But it looks, from what I saw, it looks good. But we'll see. I don't know. People have trouble actually creating these Spider-Man games. But so they wait till after they show Kojima, followed by that Spider-Man trailer, which was kind of right? It was good, but it was And then after that, they go into gameplay of Days Gone, which they had showed a trailer for earlier. Now, here's how I think as a human being. If you're going to show the game off in the trailer, show the gameplay off right after that. Don't wait until you drop the biggest bomb in the entire press conference to go back and show gameplay of that. Now, why did they want to show the gameplay off? I think I know why. And It just was not the right. It was not right. It wasn't done properly. It wasn't handled right. The amount of zombies that was chasing this guy at one time was ridiculous.
I'm not gonna lie. I would have just went ahead, laid on the ground, and gave up on life.
I was worried. I after a while, I noticed that one, this game was like either A, on like super god mode where he couldn't be touched, or B, they just had it whatever, this little vertical slice, they made it where he couldn't be touched, because there was times where the zombies were all over him and should have had him and nothing happened. They ran right past him.
If you look at it, he'd break away at that exact moment. Like, they played it through a couple of times, so they let it get as close as possible. Then you see him break. When he kept turning back and shooting and whatnot, I wouldn't have turned back. Crap, my eyes would have been on the goal.
No, and I'm pretty sure at one point I saw him run by, and then like he like there was like a zombie I saw like run right past him, or he ran like straight through two of them, or something happened like that. But anyway, there were so many zombies on this game. If this system can actually handle that, I would be impressed. Now, I believe it's possible. There's no way it couldn't be. Hell, but it was so incredibly freaking horrifying to see that many zombies coming. And he's just unloading bullets into him. He's setting traps for him, which is cool. There was things like being able to pull down this
garage door.
The garage door, this piece of a conveyor belt that lifts up so that people can pass through, and he ran past it, dropped it down, continued up the stairs. It slowed him down for a bit, but of course they eventually found a way around it. He's going through
floating barrels, climbing through windows. I didn't even think that was an option.
And here's what caught me about the window part. When he gets to this attic and he climbs out this window, there are zombies following him. He had set off this barrel at one point, or he threw some sort of explosive. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think he just hit another barrel in there, which I wish this game had dynamic fire in it. That would be more interesting to me, instead of there's this fire and now it's gone kind of thing. But whatever, I get it. After he got through the one window, there were zombies coming out of a completely different window. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, are they that smart? They just know that, hey, if we go through this window, we can get to them faster than trying to go all the way around where all the other rest of the dummies are going. So that's cool. It was just a massive swarm of zombies, and he had way too many bullets, and they all dropped seemingly fast. I'm pretty sure that very last part was just all play rigged, because he's like going down this freaking super narrow rope bridge towards another container thing. I don't know. In which he actually does slaughter all the zombies that were following him immediately following him, and then pans out to this wide shot. There are tons more zombies rushing in. Looks great. We'll see how it plays mechanically. But that's how they decided to end the press conference. I thought it was completely ridiculous that they did it in that order. Those last three should not have happened the way they did. Putting that before or after Spider-Man, I don't think really would have made a difference. But that Kojima trailer should have came last. That was a big mistake, in my opinion. But it is what it is. Another tidbit about Bethesda, oh my God, Bethesda, is they showed off some more of, and speaking of disappointing endings, they showed off some more and quite a bit of Dishonored 2. Now, it started, there was some weirdness there. They were showing off like environments at one point. Then they go to a completely different video showing off other things. Then they go to gameplay. Then they go to a gameplay trailer. It was a lot. It was a lot, and it dragged on. And a lot of people have complained that it was just they kind of killed the thrill of that game for dragging that weird demo on for so long. And then Pete Hines comes back out at the end, and he's like announcing this guy as being very shy. And it's like, well, if he's so shy, why is he the one doing this long demo that you have for this game? Like, and that was another thing. I think they did that similarly to what Sony did with Gone or Days Gone, is where they didn't they show a trailer earlier and then like come back to it at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know what that whole thing is about. Don't do that ever. Never ever do that again. Both of you or anybody else listening, never do that. That was dumb. But that's also showed off Prey and was it We Happy Few? Was that them that showed that?
Whoa! That's a Microsoft thing.
Okay, my bad. Anyway, we'll
talk about that.
we'll get to that. All right, I didn't even really get to see a good look at that trailer, but I'm sure we'll have some things to say about it. So that was that. All in all, both conferences were not terrible. I think Sony's was much better than Bethesda's. Bethesda didn't do a terrible job though. I mean, it was just they dropped the ball at the end. It was okay. It was very lukewarm. There was no big announcement. There was okay, never mind. We'll get to that later. Because I think that was Microsoft too. Yeah, it was. So there was just no big Fallout 4 sized announcement for them to drop. There was nothing like that. And the big game that they kind of had, they kind of mishandled it, ruined the conference. But that was that. So both were pretty good. Sony's was much better. But let's move on to Microsoft. So Microsoft came out swinging, and I missed the very beginning of it. But they came out swinging with, of course, God of War 4. Gears of War 4. Damn it. It's stupid when two games have the same acronym and only have one word difference. And it's not even really that different. Then the one word starts with the same letter. Gears of War 4, they showed off. Fantastic. Reception for that. There was Forza Horizon 3 announced with some pretty incredible play. You can be playing and your friends can drop in seamlessly and they can follow you to waypoints and help you complete missions, all kinds of stuff. That game is looking also really phenomenal. So unlike Sony's conference, which the only thing that Sony really didn't announce other than games was VR, but that still kind of encompasses games. That was sort of the avenue for it. Sony also, Xbox started out with announcing the Xbox One S, or which I'm assuming is short for Slim. It's 40% smaller. It has HDR support for HDR video and gaming. It has 4K playback of video and Blu-ray. Not video, audio, video and Blu-ray DVD. So 4K Netflix or that anything like that. It has. It now can stand vertically. It has physical buttons versus the original capacitive touch ones. And it also is one port short on the back. Also built-in power supply, which a lot of people have complained about, which is ridiculous. Not everybody complaining about it even needs like that as a thing. They don't carry it anywhere, whatever. So it starts out at $300 for a 5 gigabyte version. 500 gigabyte version. $350 for a terabyte. $400 for a 2 terabyte version. That's all pretty cool. The vertical stand apparently is separate and costs $20. And it also comes with the new controller, which has built-in Bluetooth, which allows for connectivity to PCs and other devices. But yeah, going back to this, it is missing. The port it's missing on the back is the port for Connect. Now, here's where I disagree on a lot of people's opinion about this. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, this means Connect is dead." No, it removed the necessary port, which is probably one way to condense space. However, you will still be able to use a Connect if you have it and want to use it via a adapter that Microsoft is giving away. This is something they're actually giving away. If you want it, you can have it. So it doesn't necessarily mean Connect is dead. People are saying this means they've given up on Connect. No, because if they gave up on it, why would they even include that? I believe. I mean, I guess just for people who still have it, but I don't think that means it's dead. Major Nelson just a few weeks ago was saying that they've got plans for Connect. So this people saying that I disagree with. But that's my opinion. Maybe it is. They announced support for Cortana coming, which they might have not. Actually, that might have been in another video, but they also announced a couple of new features coming to Xbox Live. They announced clubs, which is similar to communities on PlayStation Network, if you know that, which you can build a community based around the game. You can talk about the game and find new people to play with there, and I guess create events and other things that you want to do. They announced an LFG, or Let's Find Group, or Looking for Group feature coming to Xbox, which is something that got started for a lot of when people were playing quite a few MMOs and needed to find people to group with. This is how you would do it. You would say, "Hey, I'm looking for group," and people have built apps around these and all kinds of things so that people looking for someone to play with in a specific game could find it. They're introducing that as a feature into Xbox Live. And then they also announced Arena, which is supposed to be geared towards creating tournaments and playing in online tournaments with your friends or by yourself, with other people out there. So that's another really kind of cool feature they announced. The one thing that they didn't announce that a lot of people were looking forward to was Crackdown 3. That's officially was officially announced to be coming out in 2017. They announced Play Anywhere. This is something that they were focusing on through all their games they announced, right? You buy it digitally either on the Microsoft Store or on Xbox Live. You can play it on the other for free. They announced crossplay for some game. What game was that they announced it for? Oh God, I can't believe I'm flaking on this right now. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't even just for a specific game, but they've announced, of course, crossplay between Xbox Live and Windows 10. So that gate is opening up. They demoed a little bit of it. They did demo Gwent's, right, in the Xbox thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So could you explain Gwent's to somebody who has never played The Witcher 3 real quick? What this card game is about?
I couldn't even. That's the one thing that if somebody asked me about Witcher 3, I couldn't explain because the card game is there, but it's optional.
Okay.
So there's somebody like me who's more into the story. I'm like, screw that card game.
All right, cool. Um,
How tall is
uh,
that? I plan on looking up more about it though.
okay. Um, so they announced that that's going to be something that competes with the likes of Hearthstone and something we skipped over from Bethesda's podcast, which is podcast press conference, which was Elder Scrolls Legends, their card game. So you have all these new card games trying to compete in that space, which is pretty ridiculous yet entertaining at the same time because we can all sit and laugh. They also announced Xbox Design Lab, where you can go and create your own custom Xbox controller. Now, when we say you can create a custom controller, it's very limited, right? Except for there's like 8 million options. However, these options are mostly just color options, right? There's not, as far as right now is concerned, there's no like you can't, at least from what I've seen, you can't like add your own like images or things like that, but you can change the color of the buttons, the thumbsticks, the D-pad, the home button, the Xbox button, which is the same button, the triggers. Everything is completely customizable by color, however you want. You can even have it engraved, and all you do is go to this website, Xbox Design Labs or something like that, and you create this controller and pay for it. They create it at Xbox. They ship it to you. You have your own custom controller. I think that's really cool. I'm sure it doesn't cost. It's going to probably cost more than what a standard controller costs. Um, Not sure if the model of this controller is going to be the same as the new one. So I'm not sure if it's going to have the new Bluetooth built in and the rubber grip texture that the new Xbox controller has. But we'll see later on. Um, they didn't announce at the press conference, but it's another controller they have coming out is the oh my gosh, Gears of War Elite controller, which is the Elite controller that already exists, plus with like skin on it for Gears of War. It's all red and or crimson and black and all this other stuff, and it looks pretty epic, even though Epic doesn't make the game anymore. But pretty cool. It's $200 though, so it's $50 more than what you would pay for a basic Elite controller. Which, if you got a custom job on it, it would probably cost you probably $180. So you're officially paying $20 for the licensing from Microsoft on that one. So whatever, people are going to buy it. Gears of War heads are going to buy it. That's it. There's no doubt about it. So they're going to sell. There's no question about it. Whether or not they're limited, that's another thing. What else? Oh my gosh. Sea of Thieves, which I didn't happen to find anything on, is a open world pirate game, which looks pretty cool. You and your whole team man ships and battle and go on quests, and it looks pretty cool. It's an MMO pirate game. Everybody on your team kind of matters at that point, especially when you're in the middle of combat with another ship. They announced, of course, Halo Wars 2. They showed some more cinematic stuff for that. I believe announced a release date. The beta is open and available now. And then I thought that's where they ended it. I thought this was where that conference ended, and I kind of tuned out. Later on, I find out because of my haphazard decision that they actually had another really big announcement, and this is probably the second biggest announcement of E3 so far. I'm going to call it, or I wouldn't say so far because it's pretty much over now. They officially announced the Project Scorpio Xbox coming next year. So where this new Xbox Slim is going to have 4K video playback, the Project Scorpio Xbox will be complete 4K gaming. It will have the processing power of 6 teraflops, which is 2 more teraflops than apparently Sony's Neo was reported to have. So we'll see about that. Some are speculating maybe knowing about this is kind of why Sony decided not to announce anything about the Neo this year at E3. Who knows? But if so, this is Xbox was very clear that with the video that they had for this, which showed off no visuals except for a mock-up of a chip that they're using, that they want to create the most powerful gaming console to exist. And this thing is, from what I've heard from people who know tech, this thing will rival top-notch PCs. The only problem I have about that thought is they're announcing that for something that comes out next year. Ain't no telling what comes out next year from anybody. Technology excels so fast that to think that by the time this thing comes out, it will still be top of the line. By the time it comes out, I'm pretty sure it'll be mid-tier, but it will be way faster and way stronger than any console that has ever came out, unless Sony's going back to the drawing board to make theirs more powerful or whatever. As of right now, in production, as it's going, this new Project Scorpio Xbox is the most powerful console that has ever existed. So, that was pretty much Xbox in a nutshell. Am I missing anything?
We happy few?
We happy few. Go.
Whew, thank you.
Sorry.
Wait, my turn. We happy few is a dystopia. And if you've ever played BioShock, when you first see the game, it gives you that type of feel, that alternate reality 60s feel. But instead of dealing with, I guess you could say American, I guess this one deals with Britain. At least I felt that BioShock was more of an American feel, alternate 60. This one, you can definitely tell this is Britain. And the game bases around someone called a downer, where these people are now subjected to take these joy pills or bliss to forget some tragedy that has occurred to them. And by the description, it's about a defense they used to defeat the Nazi, but the price of it was so great that they're having people take these pills so they don't remember the bad things. And if you watch the trailer, you see this dude who slowly, I guess you say, coming down from his pills, and in the trailer he decides to not take them. And you can see the reality of the world that's going in very slowly. And like I said, beginning trailer gives you that eerie feeling, not safe environment, something that most people, if you were in that environment, would probably just straight out run. The first scene you see some guy just like kind of begging someone not, put a needle in him, begging. And when he does, he turns around, he has this Joker smile on his face. Like everything is forgotten. Everything is happy. And the scene that blows most people's mind during this trailer is that you go to a point where you're beating this so-called piñata, and you smack it once, and all the candy pops out, but you're coming down, and you realize you just beat a dead rat. Blood's everywhere. And a lady finally realizes that you're not taking your pills, calls, these police on you, whatnot, and everybody's like one step away from wearing these Guy Fawkes masks. Looks like everybody has a permanent Joker face on. And I'm just so interested in this game, particularly because of that BioShock feel, where everything is not exactly how it's basically shown. More closely to, I'm trying to think of hers. I know it's BioShock 3, but I forgot the exact name for it. But it's close to that feel where, if you ever played BioShock, where Booker DeWitt is going through multiple, I guess per se, universes and seeing different things occur, except you're living in the same universe, you just realizing the difference between fantasy and reality. Mm-hmm. And that game from Microsoft has piqued my interest the most.
Okay. Most. All right. Now there was also more indie titles from their ID at Xbox program. Unfortunately, though, one of the games I'm very excited for, Cuphead, still no release date, and it's been a while, so we'll see what happens there. But that was pretty much the Microsoft conference. Now, when they did this, it was probably, like I said, Project Scorpio was a huge announcement, right?
Yes.
However, there's something that beats it. But before we get to that, I want to talk a little bit about EA because I didn't really see the conference. Two major things that came out of EA: there was some Titanfall gameplay, and there was some Battlefield gameplay, and they are both lighting up the world. Titanfall was actually their single player trailer was actually leaked a few hours ahead of the actual conference, but it looks good. Now, I remember we talked back a while ago, and we talked about Titanfall 2 coming to the PS4, and your response was, "Is it going to have single player?" Well, this one has single player, so it looks good. I heard even talking to some or listening to another podcast, I heard that when they actually went to do the demo was done on PS4s. So we'll see how what happens with that. If maybe EA is going to do some exclusive time exclusive deals with Sony this year, or are they going to stick with Xbox, especially since they have EA Access available on Xbox, which that'll be the way you can play. Well, no, that's Battlefield. That'll be the way you can play Battlefield the soonest, is like pretty an entire week before the game actually comes out. You'll be able to play Battlefield 1 via EA Access via the trials that they have. So Battlefield 1. The vehicles, the destruction, the guns, it's, oh my god, that game is going to be incredible. I know someone who is a huge Battlefield nerd and extremely insanely ridiculously good player. And he's totally amped about he's totally amped about it. What did you think of that one, DJ?
Which is, it's a big thing for me because I'm not a warfare, any type of warfare type of gamer. Call of Duty, Battlefield, I play them, but not necessarily you could say flat out enjoy them. They're not my niche or my type. I saw this game, I was like, I want it now. Now.
Right. So there was also let's see what else. I don't know. There was some other stuff there. I didn't see everything, so I can't really report on everything. But I think for the most part, I guess we've seen some more. There was a gameplay thing for the new Friday the 13th coming. Jason crushing some souls or skulls and some souls. He crushing everything. That's coming out soon. But before we kind of close this out with my favorite announcement of E3. No, that wasn't even in a conference. But there's this new game coming out from the makers of Saints Row called Agents of Mayhem, which looks pretty good. You get to play as these 3 different characters interchangeably, blah, blah, blah. Kind of Grand Theft Auto-ish. And they have different abilities and blah, blah, blah. Pretty cool. Going back a little bit, which I guess I should have talked about this first. I'm so out of order. Going back a little bit to the very beginning of the show, we talked about the Orlando shooting. And apparently there was a lot of people jumping on the video games create violence, bandwagon news grab, whatever you want to call it, situation.
Which, let me go and state this now, excuse my language, is complete and utter bullshit.
Complete bullshit. There is a very, very, very entertaining and informative YouTuber named Chris Raygun. and he goes on about this, and he pretty much he talks about it. He tells why it's ridiculous. Um, First of all, let's be clear. All right, I'm going to say something here at the risk of sounding like a complete asshole. I There are some that I know, but I don't know of that many gay gamers, right? Like I know they exist, but they aren't what probably is even a like really sizable majority of gamers. Gaming, no offense, typically is a very masculine thing, right? Especially when it comes to like violent shooters, like especially games like your big games like Call of Duty. Call of Duty is not necessarily your average gamer foray, right? It's the jock of video games. It's uh the accessible fun kind of uh this is anybody can do this. Anybody can be a bully kind of game, right? So when you think video game violence and you think shooters, Call of Duty almost automatically comes into mind. I don't think you'll find that many. Okay, let's get to it. Muslim, closet, homosexual. He wasn't even closet. I don't know what's going on with this guy. But anyway, to blame video games for violence such as this is complete, like DJ said, complete utter bullshit. All right, so let's not even get on to that, right? Chris Ray Gunn goes and talks about how even since how video game trending shows that as there are more violent video games, the crime rates decrease. And that's just like, is that even scientifically aligned in any way? Maybe not, but it proves that there's no correlation that shows that video games that are violent cause this sort of behavior. Let's think about this, okay? And I think he made this argument. Grand Theft Auto 5 has sold 65 million copies of its extremely gratuitous first-person violent game. Okay, yes, this game is very violent, very, very adult, and very offensive. However, the idea behind playing this game is having fun. It's not slaughtering people. It's not hatred. This is something you play to release that hatred. Because once you get on there and you start slaughtering people and you start having fun with that, you start to decompress. And the things that you figured initially that were bothering you kind of fade away. That's why people play violent video games, is to release anger. Therefore, if that's what I'm doing to release my anger, when I get that pissed off, I'm not going to go grab a gun and go shooting people. I'm going to go to my console and start mowing down hookers in the street on Grand Theft Auto. That's the correlation. So, no, video games do not cause violent activity. They don't. People are inherently shitty people. Deal with it. We need to focus more on the things like mental health that needs to be addressed in our population over trying to criminalize anybody or anything, using any sort of scapegoat as an excuse for why terrible things happen. Terrible things happen because people are terrible. And that's just the end of the argument. Am I right or am I right?
You're right, because like you said, 65 million copies of units have been sold, and this one person takes action. What about, the other 99.99% of people who did absolutely nothing playing the same exact video game? You can't blame just the game on a person's actions. And not to use this tragic event to spark an argument about whether games do or do not, which, side note, scientifically has been proven, does not make somebody go out and just do something because it's in a video game. The argument shouldn't even be wrapped around whether video games have caused us, and that's where everybody's just looking for a scapegoat, and this is not it.
Right. So, the last video game I believe I want to address as I'm looking through here, DJ.
Mm-hmm.
There's this beautiful, whimsical land of Japan. In Japan, there is this monumentally grandfather of what video games are today. This company is known as Nintendo. And they have a new console coming out next year. And a brand new, extremely amazing game to come out with it. They'll also be on the Wii U, which is probably where I'll play it. But there's this magical IP known as The Legend of Zelda. And because they had not much else to talk about, they decided, hell, we're going to put The Legend of Zelda front and center at our E3 thing that we do, because they didn't necessarily have a press conference. But we now have a title for this game. It is called The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Have you seen anything on this?
Yeah. I said like a child that's been given his favorite meal. I quietly sat and just watched.
Here's what's so awesome about this game, in my opinion. I only saw a little bit on it. I've seen a little bit of gameplay that somebody did where they kind of go over some of this stuff. I haven't seen the official Treehouse thing that Nintendo did. This game is Zelda meets Minecraft meets Uncharted meets Metal Gear Solid meets this game meets. They pulled so many ideas and resources, incorporated them into the world of The Legend of Zelda, and that's what we get here. Why do I say that? Because you have things like crafting in this freaking game. You can craft I don't know, all kinds of stuff. I saw a freaking there was a campfire that you can use as a waypoint. Essentially, I'm guessing that's one thing that you can do. You can your health is now relying on you eating actual food, which you can actually cook. I mean, your weapons deteriorate. There's just so much in this game, and on top of that, the scale of it all. The map for this game is so freaking huge. This is literally the most ambitious Nintendo title that has ever been created.
I couldn't disagree.
I saw a post somewhere that actually said Zelda Scrolls, and I think that is true. I think this game is not even think. This game is undoubtedly bigger and better than what Skyrim is, aside from the idea of the graphics. Now, the graphics look great. I love the art style, but as far as realism in graphics goes, that's where Skyrim has this beat. Sure, whatever. But as far as getting into this, it has like the art style, and it looks like it is actually linked to somehow Wind Waker, in that there are some similar assets and like enemies that were in Wind Waker that are in this. It's completely open world. There are hundreds of dungeons to go and explore. There are tons of new weapons, gear. You have you're affected by the weather. You have to change your clothes based on things like temperature. I mean, this game is like if you made Zelda an Elder Scrolls game where you could build stuff, and I mean, I am like, if I get this game, DJ, like I will not leave this game, DJ. This
Oh,
it's
I feel
it,
like this. If I'm still working at the same place we're working at now, I need an extended vacation.
bro, it is
I'm not
going
trying
to
to do double duty of, man, let me break away from the game so I can get a couple hours of sleep, maybe put some in my system, then go to work and not enjoy myself for 8 hours so I can come back and enjoy myself.
I agree. I'm gonna need a vacation when this comes out because it is so huge. Oh my gosh, it is an incredible game. Not only that, that idea of that dynamic fire, that spreading fire, that's here in this game. The climbing mechanic that they use, I watched that, is incredible. You like have this stamina bar, which you have throughout the game, period, because you can run and you exhaust your stamina and do other things. But as you climb, you exhaust your stamina. The faster you climb, the faster it declines, and so the slower you move, the essentially the farther you can go. It's all about taking the time and not overexerting yourself to get where you need to be. And you can climb any surface in this game, any surface, any wall you see, you can climb. Essentially, um, it's just such a beautiful game. I am totally excited. Uh, this is going to probably be, as long as the story is done right, this will probably be the best Zelda game ever, ever.
See,
Um,
you're saying a lot right there. Wind Waker right now is my favorite Zelda game of all time. That's saying a lot.
it is, it is. And like I said, it seems to be tied to that world via art style, assets. It would just be that this would actually be the adult version of Link, as opposed to the kid version that was in Wind Waker. Um, it's just gorgeous. There's so much of this game. I haven't even gone through everything. I haven't seen everything on here, and I can't wait to go and spend some time once I've gotten all my obligations and duties and chores and things out of the way, and just spend some time and just like dig into this like a child opening his favorite bag of candy on Christmas or Halloween or whatever, just pig out on this game. Like, oh, I've never seen anything so amazing ever. This is going to be one incredible game. I can't wait for it to come out. It's coming out next year. There is a release. Is there a release date, or
I
is
haven't
it?
seen a release date for it.
Okay, I think it's a release window. I'm sure it should be in fall. Um, because we know that's when they plan on releasing the NX, whatever that will eventually be called. So, it'll be out by not fall. Was it fall? Oh damn! No, it was before fall. Mm, I want to say spring. I don't know. It's coming out sometime next year. I think it is spring. I think it's in that May to down March to May or some area like that. I'll figure it out. But it's coming and it's coming soon, and I am so ready for this. And like I said, this trumps a new, more powerful Xbox in ways that I can't even explain. Like a newer, more powerful Xbox, a newer, more powerful PlayStation. They're great. That's wonderful. But power isn't everything. If the experience isn't there, and this is the experience, this is the epitome of the experience. Um, I I don't even know what else to say. This game is incredible. Like I said, it's the most enormous Zelda game ever. It's one of the prettiest Zelda games ever. It's got some really unique mechanics. You shoot arrow. The arrows in this game actually have an arc. They don't shoot straight. This is realistic archery now. That's going to be interesting to master. I'm excited. I'm
Whew.
It's this is what gamers like myself live for. This is why we love E3, because we get stuff like this. Um, and there's not much else to say other than that. That was the epitome of all that happened in E3. I saw this one interesting link though. This not safe for work VR festival going on in Japan. So you know, Japan and VR. Yeah. I'm gonna just let the images do the talking. I think that's far enough. So, this is VR gone wrong. But hey, you know, at least it's not VR rape. Um,
But see, my idea is forming somewhere in somebody's head now.
uh, I'm just going to subtitle this show, like not just this episode, but the entire show is going to be subtitled "No VR Rape." It'll be called the AeroGents Podcast "No VR Rape." Um,
I'm not, like I said, once again, this is what the very first episode we did. I'm not supporting the idea. I'm not supporting rape. Get that right out the way. Like Brock Turner, like that is in the news. Yeah, that's a rapist. You shouldn't do things like that. But if they were able to virtualize it and people could get their, kinks out that way without harming an actual individual, maybe there's a market for it. And if there is, I'm just stating for the record, it's on record. I want my 10%.
all I know is I'm running with this thing, and I'm going to find some way to talk about VR rape in every episode of this podcast, uh, as long as I can. Either until it becomes super old and stale, or until I have nothing else to talk about, or the
What's
podcast
going to happen
ends.
first? We're going to get a cease and desist order. Saying that we're just promoting it. I'm just like, shit, fuck, damn. Why now? Why now?
Oh man. Well, anyway, there you have it, folks. That was some of the most incredible announcements to come out of E3. That was a really incredibly ridiculous detour into VR rape. That was also your public service announcement for the week. Video games do not cause violence. Once again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, watching, loving us, hugging us, kissing us. Yummy. We couldn't do it without you. Actually, we probably could, because but we thank you for coming anyway. So, that being said, as always, I got to plug, hxcgaming.com. Check us out. We had our big tournament 2 weeks ago because we missed last week's episode, unfortunately, due to some other obligations.
Yeah, I don't blame the tournament. I'm blaming someone not managing his time right.
Hey. Anyway, so tournament was excellent. Incredible. We had some incredible fighters out. Oh my gosh. Our Street Fighter and our Mortal Kombat top 8 battles were just epic and brutal, and
I could have whooped all of them.
I'm sure you could have. So thank you all for all your love and support. Like I said, check us out on hxcgaming.com and on Facebook /HXE Gaming Events, YouTube or Twitter, HXE Gaming Events, Instagram, blah, 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 blah. You know what it is, at HXE Gaming Events. We love you all. Thank you very much. So, DJ, any closing words, my friend?
Just the fact that, going back to not trying to circle around anything VR rape, all I would have to do is add 3 words to it, V rape, and I already got my, boom. slap that on something. Done.
And that is it, sir. That is it, folks. Oh my gosh. Don't forget to get your Pokemon thingamatinger, Nintendo Pokemon Go companion pedometer. Looks awesome. Coming out soon. This is like $34 for this little thing doohickey that attaches to you. I don't know about all that, but it looks fun. It's Pokemon Go in the real world. So from all of us here at the incredible AeroGents, thank you for watching. This was the episode 7 of the AeroGents podcast. We love you. Tune in next week, 4:30, and we love you. And as always, goodbye.
Side note, I would submit my Facebook review rate if somebody wanted to rate me.
Oh my God, what the hell just happened?